Good evening, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to your favorite radio station. Yes, we're live on Facebook as well as YouTube, and for those tuning in on Twitter as well. We've just had an interesting chat to the EP Elephants assistant coach, Aslam Abrams, sharing his story in rugby and also telling us what the EP Elephants have planned for the future, a bright future ahead indeed. Earlier on, we chatted to Jan Vermeulen, who told us more about LG stopping the production of their smartphones. And he also told us about Instagram and Facebook going to have a platform for kids. Well, quite interesting times. But right now, we're going to be chatting all things football to our favorite football correspondent, Lenn Moleko. Good evening, Lenn. Thank you for joining me this evening. A big weekend of football ahead, Lenn. Yes, massive.
Of course. We get into that stage of the season where the big pictures are coming, and you can never tell what's going to happen. And it's a big weekend, definitely a big weekend.
No, definitely. Lenn, you've seen an international break that took place. Anything that you can take out of that moving forward, and how would that affect? Champions League. We've had international break straight into Champions League. How do you think that messed up a bit with the chemistry of the teams?
Look, I'm going to start with the obvious one, with Germany. You saw how things were going for them in the international break. They lost games that they were supposed to win, and they went into the Champions League. And I'm saying Germany because Bayern Munich is majority German players.
Yes.
And they got into it, and PSG were, you could call it a revenge game kind of thing, because we know what happened in the final last year. So PSG were like, we're going to raise our hands up. We're not being coached by the same person. We now have Pochettino, and Pochettino was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go to Germany and I'm going to do something special. And he did something special. And he had Kylian Mbappe, who did something special. So I think out of the international break going into the Champions League, and there were league fixtures as well last weekend.
Yeah.
I think the big winners were PSG, Real Madrid, and Manchester City, and everybody else.
Definitely. I hope that Liverpool is included in that everyone else. Such a tough week for them at the office. Just a very lackluster performance against Real Madrid, who would punish you on any given day if you give them even just a sniff of victory.
I think the thing with Real Madrid was, and watching the game, and the irony about it was, the youngest player on the field for Real Madrid was actually the one who actually got the goals. I'm talking about Vinny Jr. Asensio got that beautiful goal. It was almost a copy. It was almost a carbon copy of what Mesut Ozil scored against, I think it was Dynamo something in the Champions League a couple of years ago, where you just like chip the keeper and then you just like slot it in. So with Liverpool, they are enemies of themselves.
In what context, though?
When the season started, how many signings did Liverpool do?
Not many.
One that they did that stands out is Diego Jota.
Yeah.
In defense, they did not have backup. They stuck with the same team that won the league last season. So they went with a team that also went a very long way in the Champions League, and they still had to come in and push in the league this season. So what you stuck with is, you've got a team that is like, okay, cool, we've got a starting 11. Who do we have as backup? Liverpool does not have backup.
Yeah.
And as a result, as the season went in the league, in all the cup competitions, that's why you see them going where they're going. and there is no way I see Liverpool overturning the 3-1 the 3-1 advantage that Real Madrid has.
Especially at an empty Anfield Stadium, to just that, it's quite impossible. Even though
Exactly.
Anfield has so much spirits and ghosts that would be on Liverpool's side, however, it just wouldn't be enough to overcome the Galacticos.
11 versus 11. There's no 12 men, unfortunately, for Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I genuinely don't see them doing what they did to Barcelona a season or two ago when they
Yeah.
were able to overturn, I think there was a 3-0 deficit,
Yeah,
and they
that's
were
correct.
able to put Barcelona on their way to winning the Champions League.
Yep, that's correct. But I mean, you spoke about signings, and let's just take it from Europe, bring it back home to the homelands, bring it right back to Mzansi. We've recently seen an interesting signing by Chippa United. We've seen them obviously fire one of their coaches, and then we've seen them bring in quite an interesting fella.
We're talking about Luke Mil. Then Dan Malesela was the coach who was let go. I think he's got a very interesting relationship with Chippa United, because if you look at the string of coaches who've been at the place, I think he's been there many a times than everybody else.
And how do you just keep going back after being let go so many times? I mean, let's take it not from a coach's perspective, but let's take it as you and me. We've got a job. Where does this leave your family? So much uncertainty, and yet you keep going back.
Look, I'm gonna leave it to two words: job. If you get a gig, you get a gig. And with coaches in this country, unfortunately, we look at the 16 teams in the Premier League, in the PSL. How many of them are foreign coached, and how many of them are locally coached?
Yep, there's so many foreign coaches taking over in a local competition.
Exactly. So if you are a local coach and you are given a job in a Premier League, in a PSL club, or let me not say PSL, in a Premiership club, you are going to take that job. So for Dens, it's unfortunately a very toxic relationship that he has with Chippa United. And when you don't have a job, unfortunately, I mean, this is the very same person who was let go from a team that is managed by his agent. So it's a very weird, it's a very mind-boggling situation that happens. But I think at the end of the day, Dens keeps going there because a job is a job. And will he still go back? I think after this sacking, I highly doubt it. But when your back is against the wall and you don't have income, a job that comes your way in the profession that you do, you most likely to take it.
No, definitely. And then, I mean, we look at Luke Mil, who's obviously been in the headlines all week, with Chippa United announcing that he will be taking over the reins there. I mean, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, he's got quite a history up in Africa where he was accused of several things. And Chippa United also released a statement earlier this week saying exactly why they appointed him. Do you think that statement does justice to him making racist comments up in Africa and knowing the dark history South Africa has with regards to racism? Do you think that a decision like this does justice to everything that those before us in the sporting industry fought for?
Look, I think the decision that Chippa Mpengesi made was literally on, I want survival. I want to stay in the Premier League. However, in the words of, I think it was Albert Einstein, who said, if you do something and you do it again, if you do something wrong, or you do something and it comes out wrong, and you do it again and it comes out wrong, and you expect the same results when you do it over and over again, that's a definition of insanity. It's not the first time that Chippa Mpengesi appointed Luke Mil.
Exactly.
He did it the first time, and then Safa came and said that this person is not, we don't want him here.
And just to give the listeners some reference to this, about 2 weeks ago, he was appointed by TTM. And he was left hanging high and dry on the airport because the same thing exactly happened, where they realized that morals are more important than survival.
I think it's beyond morals. It's we look at the Bill of Rights in the country, the right to decency, the right to, you can't go say certain things and try to justify them. I was listening to an interview that he had with one of the sports broadcasters in this country earlier this week, and he was trying to justify why he said what he said. But I can come here and say a certain thing and justify it because it suits my narrative. However, I think what the man has done is he noticed that there's a level of feeling that European coaches or outside coaches are better than what we have in this country. And he played on that. And he played on the narrative of, no, but what I said was taken out of context, and which is ironic because one of the biggest clubs in this country that's doing so well is actually coached by 3 South Africans.
Exactly. So self-explanatory.
Why go outside and seek somebody who has been so tainted and you want to bring him in? And not for the first time, for the second time. Yes, FIFA has cleared him of whatever it is that he said. But what he said, the way it landed in our local game, and it's not the first time. One of the coaches from one of the biggest clubs that I'm mentioning now actually had a problem with him. And he mentioned that this guy does not have a regard for a certain people of a certain skin type.
So ultimately, breaking it down, you're saying that he's got a racism issue. In simple English.
Psychologically, because I am not a psychologist, number one, I'm not going to say that. But from his utterances, I can say yes, he does.
That's quite interesting. It leaves a lot out there for the South African public to just ponder about. And I mean, there has been journalists in this country that's taken it to task. It leaves us wondering if we do push for privatization in sport in South Africa, that means that club owners would get their say and get to do exactly what they would want to do. And would this mean that people with morals like this would then be employed left, right, and center?
Look, we can argue a lot of things. Luis Suarez and Patrice Evra.
Yeah.
We're still celebrating Luis Suarez today. We forgot about what he did.
Can't celebrate him after what he done to Ghana. Sorry, I'm just a patriotic African.
Just a sportsman being a sportsman. Like sometimes you cheat to get to where you want to get to. It actually worked for him. But more so, he did what he did, and all the Liverpool players, black and white, colored, Indian, whatever race, Chinese, whoever were on the field, they were wearing shirts that were saying "Free Suarez," for a lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Are you gonna stop celebrating Steven Gerrard because he wore that shirt that day? Are you gonna celebrate Raheem Sterling because he wore that shirt that day? It's very complex in that I think with Chippa United, they did it too soon.
Yeah.
With Liverpool, they did what they did. Time went, we forgot about it. They lost out on the league for 2 or 3 seasons running, and they won the league, and we celebrated them. And we forgot about what happened with Luis Suarez and what they did. Mario Balotelli has been going through a lot. Teammates, fans, and whatever. We still watch the League One now. We still watch the Serie A now. There's a lot of racism that happens in the English Premier League where people say certain things that are fans of certain clubs, but we still support those clubs. It's a type of thing. I'm not saying we need to be accepting of racism, but I'm saying in Luke Emael's case,
the
level of arrogance that came in, and there was a level of timing that happened. I bet you now, if he was appointed Chippa United coach in 2022 January, we would have forgotten about what he said.
Spot on. I think you have it spot on. Because of the age where we get in news all the time, everything's at our fingertips. Something is news today and it's gone tomorrow, gone and forgotten. And I think it was basically just too soon.
Yeah, we're sitting here. It's like a lot of people will not remember why Colin Kaepernick refused to take the national anthem and took the knee. They will not tell. But when it happened, we were in uproar.
It was big news. And right now, we currently have the George Floyd case going on. But,
I was actually about to say that, yes.
Not many remember why exactly. Not many people are following the case, but everybody remembers the cause in which they fought for a couple of months ago.
I mean, there was a fella in, I think it was Alexandra, who was killed by the soldiers around this time when we had lockdown last year. We remember I personally don't even remember his name.
Yeah.
How many people do?
Interesting. Fact.
So I'm saying our rage is very segmented in that we are angry at that time. It will take a week or 2 weeks and then we forget about it because, as news are saying now, Prince William has passed away, DMX has passed away. We're going to focus on that for the next couple of days.
Yeah. No, quite interesting. And I mean, we can chat about this for days, Lenn. Thanks for sharing your insight on the Luke Mael case and how South African sport can be more conscious going forward in obviously the appointment of coaches and keeping into consideration that we come from a very dark past in South Africa, and to move forward, we need to make sure that we stick to our models rather than chasing after results that would benefit individual clubs. Lenn, I always appreciate your insight. You educate myself, you educate the South African public just so much, and we're so grateful for your insights at Salam Media. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you chat with me and being on the show.
It's always great chatting to you, Lenn. But have a good evening further. I'm not going to keep you up. Have a lekker Friday. Have a lekker weekend. There's some good soccer on show this weekend.
Of course. Cool. Same to you, man.
That was Salam Media's favorite sports analyst and journalist, Lenn Moleko, sharing with us the insights of what transpired earlier this week in the Champions League, the league, what we can look forward to this weekend. And he also touched on the Luke Mael case currently unfolding at Chippa United, and just sharing his thoughts on that. We do appreciate it. And yeah, that leaves us with 2 more segments to go on the show. Time is flying by. Next up, we're chatting to Suleiman Moden. He's going to be telling us all about South Africa and Pakistan. The battle continues. Pakistan taught to South Africa. Suleiman Moden chatting to us all about this up next.